Welcome back to Nickel City Chronicles. It's been a little bit while. It's been about a month since I've been here. I've been on my other channel, Gnostic Informant, making history videos, mythology videos, having fun with that, watching that channel grow fast. If any of you have been over there watching it, thanks for watching. If not, go check that out right now, Gnostic Informant on YouTube. But I'm here with my special guest, Rich, my boy. This is our third time doing a podcast together because every time I do one with you, it blows up. People want to hear you talk. People love you. Musician, artist, what else? What else? You're lover, a man of many things.
Fighter,
yeah, exactly.
Warrior.
Yes.
I don't know. Something pretty glorious. Hi, everyone. Sorry I sound like this. It's not COVID. I get tested every day. Or not every day, but like a couple times a week. So I got tested today. It's not that. I just have like a summer cold right now. And
actually sounds pretty good. It's a little deeper voice, a little like more radio type voice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it. But yeah, I'm really glad to be here. Neil's one of my best friends in the world. I love him, and I don't know. We tend to go sprawling when we talk.
Yeah, we go deep, dude.
But yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So there's a lot of things I wanted to talk to you about, but right off the bat, man, I'm hearing, and I don't know if this is true or not, but since I got you here, I'm not really supposed to talk about this. They said it's supposed to be a secret, but I got you here now, so I'm going to ask you. What is this that I'm hearing about you and David Lynch doing some work together? And is that even true? Like, what is that?
It's very true.
What?
I can't wrap my head around it myself, but
what? Tell us about that.
So, okay, like I'm going to try to streamline this and be concise, but it's difficult to do that because David Lynch is like, it's not sufficient to say he's my hero. David Lynch for me is like the equivalent of like a secular prophet.
He is, dude.
He's like David Lynch. When I think of a visionary, like the man comes instantly.
He's one of the greatest of all time.
Maybe he is the greatest of all time. I would consider David Lynch to be like the greatest artist.
You know what? You said prophet, and people might laugh at that, but like, what really is a prophet? Somebody who gives a vision of what is to come, and like someone who can assess the zeitgeist of the times. Who is better? Who is more? Like, who can get that name title besides him?
Yeah, that's why
our current time. And art,
nobody.
And music, art, and movies is like the modern form of scripture nowadays. This is what people connect to it. It's how you connect to the unknown through these films, through these music, through art, through literature. And this is the way it is. This is the new world we're in now.
David Lynch. So I was careful to specify like secular prophet because in terms of the Christian faith, of which I am a profound adherent, as you know, prophets are measured by their emissaries, they're messengers of the Lord, and they're the way that you would test a prophet in the prophetic days, like especially the Old Testament, is like 100% accuracy. Or like no room for
you can't get one thing wrong.
Nothing amorphous.
You're a false prophet.
Yeah, nothing like kind of hazy. Like, I mean, to the day, to the hour, these people would specify exactly what was going to happen. It was a demonstration of the Lord's power to people, like especially Elijah. So I say that David Lynch is a secular prophet because he's not speaking for God, but my entire conception of God, my feeble conception of God, is informed by how explosive David Lynch's visionary aesthetic is. So I'm thinking,
he talks about the collective consciousness as being like what God is. You know what I mean? That's what he would probably say.
Well, David Lynch. So what I'm doing with David Lynch, like, I cannot stress this enough. This man's work literally on more than one occasion has saved my life. I mean, I didn't give up when I was at the height of my drug use. I didn't just like throw in the towel because I was watching David Lynch's work. And I was listening to like people like Dennis Hopper, who played one of the worst villains ever in Blue Velvet. Frank, it's just awful, just this hideous role. Oh, incredible. And but he himself was a terrible drug addict.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, you know, I remember at the time I was messed up. I can't remember, you know, I'd taken a number of things on this night, and I saw Dennis Hopper giving an interview and thinking, and he had said, you know, I always thought that, you know, to be a great artist, you had to derange your senses. You had to, you know, be a tortured art, the normal BS that we've talked about, like this trash about how you had, you know, only true artists are tortured and all this nonsense from the pit of hell.
Right.
And here comes Dennis Hopper straight out of the gate, just saying, well, you know, then I look at people like David Lynch, and he doesn't derange his senses. He's not getting high on drugs. He's not drinking. He's
sort of pure in a way.
Yeah, he is. And like the weirdest things, you know, come to this man. It's not even, so I might have gotten like a little ahead of myself. For anybody who doesn't know, oh, you know, this is about to change your life. If you look into this right now, you're welcome. David Lynch is a director. I'm limiting his scope by calling him a director because he does everything. He does all the writing.
He's a visionary.
Yeah, a total artist.
Visionary, yeah.
He's an auteur. Like he writes all of his own scripts. He directs the camera angles, the sound design. Oh God, the sound
Every
design.
little detail is tweaked by him.
You can have like a legitimate experience not even watching the movie, just listening to the movie.
You can even look at the background, what's going on in his films. You're like, what is he? What is that? What, that means something. And then you can dig into those things, go down rabbit hole behind rabbit hole behind rabbit hole.
Universes within universes within universes. Like his entire, he directed, for instance, the seminal television series Twin Peaks, Elephant Man, Eraserhead. This is out of order. But order doesn't matter with David Lynch because David Lynch does not treat time in a linear fashion. Lynch understands how things really are, which is that time is like a very oblique, abstract, non-existent property.
Yeah.
And he really just takes
it's an
advantage
illusion.
I can't sit here and like summarize them. I want to.
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch Twin Peaks.
Watch Twin Peaks. Like if you want an experience of David Lynch, the movie to watch, I would say, would be
Mulholland Drive's good.
Mulholland Drive. They're all amazing. Yeah, Mulholland Drive is like
Eraserhead.
Eraser. Just throw yourself into the deep head.
Yeah, go to watch Eraserhead.
Yeah, just
that should be your introduction to David Lynch. It should be.
That was the world's introduction to David Lynch.
I think. Yeah.
And it's like a punch in the heart of the soul. Watching this, it's just like you're going to be shook. You've never seen anything like it. I promise you. I
was listening to him speak about the process, the creative process behind Eraserhead, and he said that he gave his wife a pen and a pad to keep by her bedside, so that when she had a crazy dream and she woke up, she would write it down. Now, why would she write it down then and there? There's a science behind dreams that when you get up out of your bed and take 2 steps, your brain already disposes your dream into the subconscious and you forget about it.
Really?
Yeah, it's like this. Your short-term
I didn't
memory,
know that, actually.
Your short-term memory. That's why people say, "Oh, I didn't have a dream last night." No, you did have a dream.
You've had about 4
you just
dreams.
forgot about it.
Yes, exactly.
Most people forget about their dreams. So to keep a pen and pad next to your bed is as soon as you wake up, you'll still remember your dream right away. As soon as you get up and start walking around and make coffee, you forgot.
It does kind of feel often like the last vestiges of the residue of a profound dream, like kind of slip off of you like an oil.
It's like DMT. That's why people associate DMT with dreams, because people who experience DMT will tell you forget what it's like.
Yeah,
5 minutes later, you're like,
can't
10 minutes later, you're like, did that even happen? What? You forget. It's
breaks
just like
down.
a dream.
Yeah.
It's literally like dreaming while you're awake.
It breaks down like the boundaries between waking life and like experieing the voice of your own subconscious.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And so David Lynch is like his work inhabits the space between consciousness and
that's a good way to put it.
And surreality.
Yes.
And it's like that's what David Lynch is interested in.
It's a soundbite right there.
That space right between there, and it's like only David Lynch can. I mean, so far, like I've just never. It is impossible to. It's frustrating to talk about David Lynch for me because it's like, what the hell do I say about him? He's just so unbelievable. So this guy's like revolutionized my life in every way. And before I kind of discuss the specifics of this project, because this will be like the first time I really discuss it. Actually,
please do.
Yeah. Well, it's fitting because it's on your podcast, buddy.
Yes.
So, I wanted to touch on what you said about his method, the business of writing down
creative
dreams.
process.
So I love hearing that about David Lynch because very recently I too have met the girl of my dreams. So hi, Amanda.
Congratulations, dude.
Thank you. It's been a long time. Oh, hell yes, I am.
Yeah.
I am extremely blessed.
Yeah.
And it is my creative process has undergone as a result of this, like a radical ignition, I guess. And it's strange because certain things need to come out of certain mouths in order to be heard by us. Mm-hmm. Like a certain level of resonance has to be achieved in order for something to be like a really impactful statement. So I listen to her talk of just about anything, really, but she doesn't even know she's doing this. But in listening to the things that she's saying, like she and I share like a tremendous faith in the Lord, like it's revitalized my own faith. We go to church together, which is something I've never had. And in those environments with her, I hear things now in a way that like I didn't hear them before. Like I'm still kind of trying to work this out. And so, yes, like I understand now, like what David is doing with a process like that, like where the other person, that you're sharing your life with becomes like this repository of material.
Yeah.
And you and I were just, kind of talking.
It's like a unity in relationships,
yes.
like, especially like real ones.
Yeah, there's there's something called a Möbius strip, the infinity loop. If you type in the word like forever on your iPhone, it'll bring up like, it looks like a sideways 8.
Yeah.
That's called a Möbius
symbol
strip.
Of infinity.
Yeah. Like literally you're just like looping back in.
It's interesting.
And like, God help me, I understand that now. I do. Like I can grasp it in my own limited way being with this girl. So David Lynch has taught me in studying his work and like, cause you don't watch David Lynch, you experience David Lynch. Let's just be clear about that. Okay. Like you are not going in, you can go into this casually. You are going to come out like he's going to smack you right in the mouth with his genius. And it's glorious. And like, he has taught me more than I think anybody else that everything for an artist or a creator is an artist. Everything out there is material. It is fair game. Like the true artist is mining constantly.
Yes.
Every single thing in your life. People will say that that's like this. It's somewhat ruthless. So Jeff Tweedy from Wilco. I mean, this is really extreme. Like, but he used to like keep fights going with his wife, to like deliberately so he could like write albums about it.
Wow, that's.
I'm sorry,
deep.
but that like sacrifice the body, right? I myself would not do that. Like,
that's crazy.
Because I just don't, like now that I'm a little bit older.
It's fascinating to think about
it is. Like, I mean, that's like the equivalent of like method acting. Yeah. Where you just don't break character ever.
Like who does that? For example, I think Jared Leto recently, who's playing the Joker, got a lot of criticism because he was like sending condoms in the mail to people. Yeah. Use condoms in the mail to people because I'm the Joker right now for the next 2 years. I'm the Joker.
Yeah, well, that killed Heath Ledger. I mean, that role.
He really jumped into that role and killed him.
Like that's. I mean, so certain places for the creative spirit are dangerous to inhabit. That is a real thing. I am here to tell you that like there are certain places where it's not good to immerse yourself A, for long, or B, ever.
Right.
And one of those places, like, so Jeff Tweedy, was like, yeah, I got some good material out of it. And he did, but it's just like, at what cost? You like, there's a cost to benefit ratio. There's an opportunity cost to everything. And so I'm glad you brought up the Joker because like, those are like, depending on which version of the Joker you're playing, for instance, like it's always a dangerous role. It's just like you're living, the entire character of the Joker is predicated on living on the razor's edge. And then jumping over it and then cutting people with that razor. And it's just not a pleasant, place to live. It killed Heath Ledger. It's getting Jared in trouble. Jack Nicholson could handle it, but he's Jack.
Yeah.
But as far as David Lynch is concerned, the thing I'm doing with him. So here it is. He Oh, this is so wonderful. He's such a genius. Oh my God, he's so amazing. His work, like God has clearly touched David Lynch. Clearly the Lord has infused the man like with second sight. And he created an immensely popular television series called Twin Peaks in the early 90s. It ran for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
The end of the second season, like basically the last words are, "I'll see you in 25 years." 25 years later.
Can you imagine being a fan back then, being like, huh?
Oh, I was like I was just a kid when it was happening, but I remember watching that show, and "I'll see you in 25 years," and then like 25 years later,
he delivers
out of nowhere, like an 18-hour movie, essentially just like fragmented into 18 parts, like comes out.
Wow.
And we are so privileged to be able to apprehend or witness like the work of an artist of this caliber while he's creating it, because I got to episode 8. You can't possibly ruin.
I'm going to show a clip of episode 8 real quick.
Okay.
That is just so profound.
So
there's so much to say about that. Like, what even just happened?
He's like, when I saw that for the first time, literally I was with my dad and my brother, and like I leaned forward. I remember it. Like I leaned forward. My jaw was on the floor, and I was just. It was in that moment. It was 2017 that happened, and literally it was that moment where the seed of the project that I'm now working on came to me, because I said to myself, I have to give something back to this man. At this point, I'm stealing from him. Like I'm just taking.
He wants that.
I need to give.
He wants that though.
Yeah, but like it's not enough for me.
Yeah.
You know, like there needs to be some reciprocity for somebody. Like the Lord has given unto this man to like just bless my life to such an unfathomable degree. I mean, after I watch his stuff, I just feel powerful creatively. He just galvanizes me. I can't say enough about him. And because David Lynch inspires, like he's the type of artist where you watch his work and suddenly you become aware of this toolbox in your life. And it's just, like, it's been sitting right here the whole time. All I need to do is pick it up. And because as we talk about, like, writer's block, as people call it, doesn't exist.
I don't think so either. It's a myth.
It doesn't exist.
It's laziness.
Allow me to like speak very trenchantly here. It's not real.
I don't think so either.
Writer's block is a product of creative laziness, and I've had writer's block before, and like I've been in it for a long time. And it wasn't until
it's one thing to say I'm in a creative slump right now. I'm not doing my best, but there's so much in the world that you can take from, that you can get inspired from. History, for example. Pick any year, 1920 or 500 BC, and just Google it, and you'll see all these events that happened.
1920 seems to be speaking to you. This is like the second time tonight that you've brought it up.
The crash of the market and the roaring 20s.
Is this where you're going next?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of that just popped in my head. For just
you got to unpack
But there's
that.
so much stuff that happened in history, just history alone. Then there's science too, but just the subject of history, right? Ancient history, medieval ages, Middle Ages, the Stone Age, the Bronze Age. Just think about all these things that happened. We were talking about Joan of Arc. You can look at Joan of Arc, the life of Joan of Arc, and then get inspired, and then make something from that. There's so much you can do to get your brain going and to brainstorm and to think of ideas. My new channel, Gnostic Informant, I've literally been putting out a video every single day. I have so many ideas that I don't even know what to do next. Yeah. It's not even
that a great feeling?
Yeah, I don't know. I want to make a video about Alexander the Great. I want to make a video about Caesar. I want to make a video about the early Christians. I have to pick one.
Well, I want to see that video. I want to see the one about the early Christians.
I have a couple already. But I want to get it real big into that. I want to pick apart, because we'll talk. I don't know. This is a little off topic, but a lot of people don't realize when Christianity was coming about, before the Bible was even written, there was different sects of Christians. There was Ebionites, who were the Jews. Then there was Marcionites, who were Greek Gnostics, and they clashed. They're like, the law. We don't like the law. We just want to follow Jesus. And the Ebionites were like, well, Jesus is the Messiah, but we got to follow the law of Moses. And boom, they clashed together. And there was, in between those two, there's about 500 sects in between. There's like literally hundreds and hundreds of sects of Christians from I want to say from 100 to 300 AD.
Yeah, we talk about Christianity as though it was just this finished thing,
Right.
like it was just there the moment that
Right.
Jesus like was crucified and then rose from the dead.
The next day there's a Bible in a church. It's like, no.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It was a
That's
process.
not really. Yeah, and I mean, C.S. Lewis talks about that in his in the book Mere Christianity. I would not be a Christian, by the way, without C.S. Lewis. Thank God for him. But he talks about
He's good.
The
Good stuff.
unfolding pattern, like of gods and deities as like human beings understood them, are all leading to Christ. And so far from being like, oh well, the redemption story in Christianity is like derivative, and it's not derivative. Like everything is leading up to it. It's miraculous. So it like that kind of thing is it doesn't get talked about enough. And that's the type of thing that like can shake or affirm somebody's faith, is coming to terms with like the early tempestuous history of Christianity. And because it's like a maelstrom. It's just, you're in like the storm. It was very much a storm. It was violent. It was, purges and battles. It was violent physically as well as philosophically.
Yeah.
But, one should be prepared for a certain level of spiritual violence if one is going to approach the living God. I don't know why people think it should be some easy thing.
Well, the name Israel, Jacob got renamed Israel. That name literally means to contend with God. That's what that word means. So if you're talking about the Israel is like the beginning of all the three Abrahamic religions. And it starts off with someone contending with God.
Yeah.
So what is that?
Not letting him go.
If you're not questioning, I'm sorry, this is my own opinion, but me personally, if you're not questioning your pastor, your priest, or your Bible, if you're the least, like, I'm not saying you have to go against what it says and be a heretic, but if like it's natural. It's natural to contend and to question these things.
Yes, one should know their faith, and in the Bible itself. We're commanded to be Bereans, and the Bereans at that time. This is a topic for you, buddy. I'm throwing this out to you, and then it's going to be your turn to like make a video about this. The Bereans were like the original skeptical inquirers, like the hardcore doubters, who just like tore apart everything. And the Bible, doesn't command us to adhere to a blind faith. There's nothing blind about our faith. I once was blind, but now can see. That is one of the epical verses in Scripture. Like it's not a mindless thing; it's a living thing.
Yeah.
And so one should I assault my own belief system. I want to say something very personal right now, and he didn't know that I was going to do this, but this guy is literally one of the best friends that you could imagine having in this universe.
Thanks,
I
man.
underwent a spiritual crisis a matter of a couple months ago, a horrible one. I mean, I was really at my first real crossroads where I had just become disgusted and burnt out, and I felt hopeless. At 4 a.m, I reached out to him. I was like, Neil, I'm having some real trouble here. I mean, I was in tears. I was very depressed. I had it was the first time in my life where I had really experienced what it's like to truly not believe that there is a God listening. Just for a few seconds, it was traumatizing for me. By the way, anybody watching this, who isn't a believer, or who's committed to not believing, it's. I don't know how you do it. What
I noticed? There's people who are really dogmatic about, these Baptists, these hardcore Baptist Christians that are go around and they go to people's funerals and with signs that say God hates
Well, yeah.
But you got on the other side, you got people who are just as dogmatic for atheism.
Yeah. Well,
and that to me is dude,
atheism
you
is a religion.
You just flipped your belief on its head, and you're just for me, you have to have a healthy balance of truth and understanding of other people's worldviews.
That's a good quote. Truth and understanding. Yeah,
they go together.
It's I can't say that I disbelieve something that I have no understanding or grasp of, which is why I tend to immerse myself in antithetical belief systems to my own. It's because you can't refine or sharpen something without a pressure or an opposition coming against it. I mean, think of a blade. It's you sharpen it with friction.
Yeah.
Right. And because the Lord is the greatest creative genius, because he is creativity incarnate,
You just brought it back to the creative process.
Yes.
We were off topic.
How do we always
you just brought it back? I like that. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, like you see what I did there?
Yeah, that was good.
That's right. That's how we roll, baby.
Yeah.
Sorry, it caught me off guard.
My bad.
No, that's fine. But like, yeah, because like, what qualifies a person as a creative master is how economically they use like a limited amount of means to create essentially a world. So Beethoven, when you think about the Fifth Symphony, bum 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 bum, ba-da-da-dum.
Yeah.
Literally, that's 4 notes. Bump, 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 bump. And he creates out of those 4 notes, which has become identified as the Fate Knocking at the Door theme.
Really?
Yeah, those 4 notes are literally constitute a half an hour long symphony. Probably the greatest symphony ever written by any composer ever. Like, that's like the benchmark. And it's just like Beethoven could take one meaningless cell of music and just spin it out of it like entire universes. Like Beethoven was like the highest level mage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say he's the GOAT.
Magic is a good word. Entertainment, like music, movies, there's a form of magic behind it.
Oh,
we were
absolutely.
talking, even the editing that goes into it, or just like
Especially the editing.
Especially the editing, yeah.
That's where it happens.
There is a level of magic. Like, however you want to define magic, I don't know how you define it, but if you can alter reality in some way and use the world around you to create an illusion, not just create an illusion, but create some sort of like not deception, but like some sort of like impose your mythos on people. You know what I'm saying?
It is an act
There's
of
the mythos. The mythos. So there's the mythos and there's the logos. The mythos is the story. So if I take an adaptation from a historical, like the movie 19, what is it? The last movie that came out about World War 1917. That's a movie about a true event, but it's a mythos because he took the movie and made something that didn't exactly happen, but he made a new story, a mythos from it. Mm-hmm. The logos is the message that you're trying to get across. You're trying to tell something. That's the logos. That's the savior. That's the mediator between you and the mythos, is the story being told. That's the glue that holds everything together.
So I'm like analyzing what you're saying right now, and that was like remarkably well said. Actually,
well, and,
like that was like
we were talking about Christianity, and even though I'm a big critic of Christianity, I have this deep respect, deep love for it.
Don't worry about it.
Well, here's the thing, because in the New Testament, Christ is the Logos. It said in the beginning was the Logos. It says in John in Greek, the word isn't word, the word is Logos, and that's what that is. And you read Philo is a philosopher from the 1st century. It breaks down what the logos, and he says the logos is the glue that keeps everything in the universe together. And what he's talking about is there is truth, there is logic, there's reason, and those things that is what holds this world together. Without truth, without logic, without reason, without love, without wisdom, without all that stuff, what are we?
Yeah, exactly. And like
we're not human anymore.
Those are very, people treat these terms now as though, they're like as though they're very malleable in terms of their definition. Like love is whatever you want it to be. It's not whatever you want. Like love is a meaningless word if it's whatever you want it to be. It's like, I mean, like, why is it such a like?
That's what I'm telling you. Like, I love that you said that, because that's what the logo says.
Yeah,
there is a truth. There is there is something, like, it's not just what you feel. There is a common denominator that tells us, like one of the big arguments from theists is like, well, where do we get our sense of morals from? We don't just get it from it has to come from somewhere, right? And it's a good argument. It's a good argument, but even from an atheist standpoint, there has to be some sort of, like, an atheist
progenitor.
Why does an atheist doesn't go around killing babies? They don't believe in God, so what do they care? Well, there's something holding them to their standards with morality. That's what that is. That's what I'm getting at. That's that logos. It's
remarkably like universal from nation to nation, no matter how disparate or no matter what time period either. And so that's, right there, it hints that, like, we were created with a capacity to understand and apprehend, like, a fixed morality.
Right.
For God's sake, people.
And this is why I'm harsh on dogmatic religious people who think, and this is just my personal opinion. People who actually think that their version of Islam or their version of Judaism or their version of Christianity is the only true way and that everyone else is damned. It's like, listen, at each of these worldviews, each of these religious views, each of these spiritual paths all have something in common. There's that logos there. There's that truth. There's that longing for the righteousness. It's all that, whether you're a Taoist or a Christian, it's still there. So you can't tell somebody they're wrong because they worship Zeus or they worship whatever.
Oh, sure you can.
Hell, you can. Well, you
wrong
can.
if you worship
You can
Zeus.
tell them that they're wrong. But if what I'm getting at is like, it's that connection to the unknown is what we're getting.
I see what you're saying. All right, okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, think about it like this.
Okay.
We're in a room with the lights turned off. It's completely dark in here, and we're all reaching for something. Like, we don't know what it is. We can't see it. It doesn't show up in front of our faces. We have to go to an ancient text to find it. You can't prove your worldview is true. You can only say, well, it's working. My life's gotten better because of it. I saw myself transform because I gave my life to whatever, Allah, whatever it is. And that right there, that testimony is real, no matter what anyone tells you. That's your testimony. It's true to you. Who can tell you that it's wrong?
Well, there is a way that seems right to a man. That way leads to destruction. You and I, this is why I love you, Neal. This is why I love this guy so much, okay? Is because, he and I fundamentally disagree about certain key things. But Neal's a seeker.
Oh, yeah.
Neal's a seeker in the traditional historical sense of that word, which is one of the rarest things. And I do, I don't want to have a bro fest right now or anything, but I do love you. I really love this guy. He's, picking up, on what I was saying, this guy in my worst spiritual crisis, without question, just he was there. He came over at 4 a.m. He was like, "Don't worry, we're gonna get this taken care of. Here are all these books about this. It's okay to ask questions." We did seriously, and it was at that point where for the next month we were just immersed, within these types of questions. And I didn't feel alone. God really used you in my life. And then on the heels of that, I had quit smoking. I had quit, I'm still in the process of purging myself of a variety of things. And then on the heels of that, I met the girl I'm in love with right now, so awesome. So it just the dominoes started falling in the best way possible. So I wanted to take this moment to publicly thank you. This guy it's so hard to find somebody that you can trust in this world, as we all know, right? I implicitly trust you. I love you. I really do. Thank you for being there. I thank God for you. I do. I know that there is a God in heaven that loves me because he sent you to my door, when I needed you. That is the example of Christ. You were there.
I accept that.
So anyway, I just wanted to say that for all of you, bringing it full circle, a wide circle.
Yeah, we went deep
now.
for a second there. That's why I love having you on, because we can go deep, bro. We go deep.
I don't even know where the hell we go half the time, but who does? This is why I love David Lynch. So, here's the nature of the project. I saw episode 8, what we just saw, and now I've spent my life immersed in David Lynch's work. And David Lynch's work has taught me that there is no such thing as writer's block. There are universes in every single corner of anywhere that you are. Life is this grand operatic mystery. It's glorious. It's incredible. And it's you can either choose to be a detective, or you can choose to be, if not a victim, kind of a willow in the wind, bending in a, there are virtues to both things, but being a detective is far more appealing. That's where artistry comes in. It's I need to find out more about the story behind this. There's a power here. There's a universe here. This panel of wood over here, or this door frame came from somewhere. It started out as a tree. It was cut down. So the acts of violence were done to it. It then underwent a processing element and then has been used to build up one structure. Isn't that amazing? It is allegory of life.
It's creation
right there. It is seriously. We start out one way. We're created, a certain way. A series of things happens to us. Events in our life.
Our bodies, like you said, the wood that makes up a building. Our bodies are literally material from the earth.
Yes, exactly.
People
God uses like the same fixed elements to create like this grand cosmic symphony. And it's just like, what can you say about it? You know, except for to sit there like dumbstruck. And I just, so as a Christian, I'm constantly seeing like allegories of the Christian life in everything. I mean, like to go from a tree to being cut down to being refined as a plank of wood to be used to build a house. Something greater than yourself. It's like I see Christ in that all the time. Like he's kind of done that to me. And by kind of, I mean completely. But David Lynch has been the Lord's instrument to speak to me. And I get like emotional talking about him because like I can't. He achieved all of like his visionary states by going very deep into transcendental meditation. He calls it his quiet time. He does it twice a day for like 18 minutes a day. It revitalized his life. He listens. He goes inwards and he listens. I'm not gonna, that is its own topic. Neal's covered that on his own podcast already, so I won't go too much into that. But like David Lynch has a foundation called the David Lynch Foundation. And
Great foundation.
And it's amazing. The work that they do is they spread these healing techniques of transcendental meditation, of going quiet and just, going inward. Yeah, like they spread it to demographics that are really in need of help there. So like traumatized soldiers, prisoners who are in violent lockups, kids, who grow up impoverished. Everybody can benefit from these techniques, and the statistics of what this does, like how it just, like these are hard, cold numbers. It, like in Attica, I think it was, don't quote me on that, but like David Lynch's meditative techniques, when brought to these demographics, wind up like profoundly statistically dropping levels of violence, dropping levels of panic, dropping levels of self-harm. It's truly amazing work. And so I was trying to figure out, how do I touch this man? Like if I can just touch like a fraction.
That's like what they say about in the New Testament. When
the
ladies, when she wants to touch his robe, and she's saved immediately.
Well, he's not Christ, but but like
the
allegories abound everywhere.
Just want to get a piece of him somehow.
There is a parallel. Yeah.
That's
such a weird story too. Like a weird event, like because Jesus felt power go out of him. I'm just like that's incredible. Anyway, like, to prevent myself from going down that lane, because it's really tempting right now. I just wanted to touch his heart, because his work just constantly over and over again revitalizes my own life. And I just said to myself, if I can touch this guy, like even a fraction as much as he touches me, like I'll have accomplished my mission. And the surest way to do that was to do something to benefit the foundation, because that's where David Lynch's heart lies, is in the David Lynch Foundation. And so over the course of the next 4 years, I battled my way. I bullied my way into their orbit. I incessantly called them. I assaulted these people with emails. I called in every favor, because what's the worst thing that can happen? Right. Like, the worst thing that can happen is you get no. And I was told no. I was told no by the foundation. Wow. And so you know what I did?
Kept going.
I'm really great friends with one of the actors that was on Twin Peaks. Like he's become a very close friend of mine. I'll keep that private for now. But I reached out to him and I said, you know what? I've been trying to do this. And you did such an amazing job on the series. Would you mind reaching out to David for me and telling him that I want to do something to benefit his foundation? And he did.
Wow.
And so David Lynch emailed me.
Wow.
And because I described the project, I was like, you know what? I told him everything that I'm saying now, and I was like, I just want to do something. I was thinking maybe I could write a symphony to benefit, your organization, or get artists that I work with. So Goo Goo Dolls, all the work I've gotten from working with the guys.
Cardiacs,
yeah. And Tim Smith, who's the genius of that band. God rest his soul. By the way, hello in England to all of my Pondies. I love each and every one of you. Okay.
Are you guys all collaborating? Something going on with all these?
So yeah. So here's.
I gotta know this.
It's really amazing. It is. I mean, I now know the definition. I know what it means. In the Lord's Prayer. No, not the Lord's Prayer, but I know what my cup runneth over means now. My cup is like run a thing over, in several different fronts. Finally, And David emailed me back. I fainted when I got that email, by the way.
I can see that.
Because I could hear it in his voice, that glorious, like, it's so wonderful that you want to do this thing.
Like him.
And it's just like the most unlike, this is like the greatest creative genius in history, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. All right. There's David Lynch, and then there's the rest of us. And to get that response, he was just like, I believe you have the talent and the energy to do this. Now I'm crying. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, I can't see. I'm just wiping my eyes off. And he overrode the original, like, no, we don't really do that kind of thing. He was like, you're doing this.
Wow.
I just think it's because I had presented, to be fair, I had presented the David Lynch Foundation, like, at the time with a very, like, kind of amorphous, there's that word again. That's like the word of the night, amorphous. This amorphous kind of concept, it really wasn't, like, ironclad at that point. I was just brainstorming. So I do understand why they're just like, I don't really know that we do this kind of thing, but thank you. Like, they were awesome about it.
Yeah.
But finally I got serious when I was like, I'm going to be talking to the man himself right now. And so I was like, I'd like to write a symphony. I'd like to organize some kind of like a fundraising event, like downloadable content, a live performance, whatever. Like, we can work it out, but like, I want everything to benefit this foundation and the work that you're doing. A, because I believe in it, and B, because you have touched my life to such an unfathomable degree that I can't process not doing this on your behalf.
Wow.
And it worked. And now, so we're looking at the following summer. We're going to be doing a performance of a symphony that I wrote with my co-composer and genius violinist Maestro Tim Fain. Hello. He's like
Maestro Tim.
Yo, he's incredible. Like, he's the soloist violinist on the soundtrack for Black Swan.
What? Yeah, that is impressive.
I know. Oh my God,
that
he's so
impressive.
Great. He also, like,
because that's a lot of violin in that movie.
Well, he like,
that's impressive.
Yeah, right, Tim is just like, he's one of these geniuses. It's just like, Tim is like,
he's immortal now from that.
Yeah. Well, he also did
when you make art like that. Like, I have this belief about artists. They become immortalized in other people that read them, listen to them, watch them, because that's it. Like, you have just set in stone your creation in the world that's never going anywhere.
I love that.
Think about that.
I really love what you just said, actually. That's like really nice. That kind of really blessed me right now. Like that, because
that's what it is.
There is the sense that, like there's
no other animal on the planet, species, whatever you want to call it, that is creative like we are.
I think that's what it means to be created in God's image. I don't believe that
I agree with that. The fact that we can create things.
Yeah, I don't think that it's like an anthropomorphic.
And I don't mean like a beaver can make a dam. I'm talking about like things that can change the way people feel.
I'm sorry, that
only humans can do that.
Yeah, I love you, man. A beaver making it.
But something that you said that I want to touch on.
Okay,
because you know how I am, Gnostic-y.
Yeah,
I like to.
I love that about you.
I love, love this. I love looking at all these different worldviews and trying to find a common denominator in them. When you were talking about how the tree gets brought down and gets turned into a house, and you see Christ in that.
Yes.
Well, there's other people who might see the Tao in that, and it's like, are they wrong for saying that? I say no. Now, as a Christian, you're probably going to say, of course they're wrong, but that's fine. You're supposed to believe that is your faith. Like, you have to stick by it, and you have to be that. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes someone a Christian. I respect that.
I fought hard for my faith. That I have. You were there with me.
I respect that. Even Islam, whatever it is, I just wish that people would not hate others due to their worldview and due to what they believe in. I wish people would come together and say, listen, I disagree with you. In my personal opinion, I think you should get saved, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, but I'm glad that we both agree that there's something greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
If more people thought that way, there'd be less wars, there'd be less deception.
You're right. It's very difficult to find the grounds of connection with anybody, and it starts really with finding the broadest possible commonality, I think, which is we believe that there's something there and we're both looking.
Yeah.
And automatically you go from an enmity between you and another individual, and you become like joint seekers.
Yes.
And I found in my own life, because I'm extreme. Anybody who really knows me,
that.
yeah. Oh, I mean, like at that point, there's a little bit of entanglement going on.
Yeah,
particle entanglement.
Yeah,
and we both know how I feel about that.
Quantum entanglement.
Yeah, hell yeah. There's nothing like being untangled or entangled, like
yes,
with somebody. Like it's
when I found out about quantum entanglement, I was like, that just changed my whole entire view of you.
It's like, I'll never unsee this.
Two different atoms, a proton and a proton, can be entangled at two separate parts of the universe.
Distant ones,
and like
too.
One of them goes like this, the other one can go like this at the same exact time, and they can do this. They're like literally...
They're engaged in a cosmic dance.
Yes.
Like a cosmic waltz.
That,
and like,
that just made my brain go...
Yeah, it's like you can feel... There are moments... Exactly. There are moments in like life, and they're the most magical moments.
The whole universe is connected.
Yeah, exactly. There's a super symmetry to everything. And it, like, from like the micro to the macro, things tend to operate in the same way with the same patterns. That's why fractals are so magical. And
it's like the Mandelbrot set. You know what the Mandelbrot set is? When you zoom out, when you zoom out or in, whichever way you go, it almost seems like you're starting back in square one again. And it's like the depth of what you see when you're in, it's like, what Einstein talked about relativity. When you're relative to your surroundings, like we feel like we fit in this room perfectly, but like as you go out farther and farther out, I'm showing it right now as I'm speaking, all of a sudden this whole entire area is just a little blip, and it's all just one. We're all just one little piece of soup, like one little tiny crumb of a piece of bread, and we're just all in it, but inside of it we're all separate. But when you go out, you're just one thing.
Yeah, it's like both at the same time. Like,
it's like you are not separate from anything else in the world. You're connected with it, but you can operate within it as like separate entities.
Human beings have a lot of trouble with simultaneities. Like things, for us, because we're just so hopelessly finite.
Yeah.
Either exist in one state or the other. Like existing in both states at once is.
Or thinking about dimensions, like you go, like the flatlands concept.
Oh God, the flat.
Just like these concepts, I can't. They're so profound.
Yeah, they're so like they're expansive to a point where so flatlands, is he and I touched on this in a previous podcast, and it's a political allegory. It's a novel that was written, long time ago. Yeah. And but essentially it uses like two-dimensional shapes and their like universe and their society moving around, like, and they're interrupted by a three-dimensional sphere that like descends into, and it's like the response to that sphere like becomes the political allegory, and it's really like violent and horrible.
And can you imagine what humanity would do if we're three dimensions? We're four, right? Three. We're three dimensions.
Yeah.
We're depth.
But we can only perceive like, I think we're four dimensions, but we can only perceve three, or three dimensions.
Fourth dimension might be time or something like that. Like I'm not a scientist. I don't know. Regardless, fifth dimension comes into our dimension. What if we are able to see that? What would it look like? First,
we have to limit it.
You can't even. It's out of our brain to even think about what it looks like.
Yeah, we don't have the capacity. To comprehend that.
And just imagine how crazy everything would, how insane everyone would go if all of a sudden, boom, it just popped up in front of us.
So it's like
it would change the world.
Yeah, it would. But people like, I think that we're all maybe a bit more.
But we know it's real. We know it's real, but we don't accept it. It's like we haven't seen it yet, so it's like.
Well, it's because these things like say such strange and alien things about the universe, and yet they're the most reliable theories that we have. Quantum theory, in particular, it says the most bizarre things, that two particles, for no reason that we can understand, should be engaged in literally a cosmic dance, like mirroring each other. God help me, I understand that now. Right. Being in love is like that. Like,
that's what it is. That's
like,
quantum
really
entanglement.
Like, so my girlfriend is like away right now, and I swear, because like I don't really care what anybody else thinks about this, like, but everybody's been really kind of great about it. Like, it was an instant thing. Like the moment I encountered her, it was everything they say about it is true. Like, everything kind of faded into slow-mo into the periphery, and I locked in. She had like a pink dress on. It was like my jaw hit the floor. I tripped out of my car. It's like a scene out of a movie. It was like every scene that you've seen in like classic 50s cinema happened. Like, all of it is real.
But you know what I was going to say about the quantum entanglement, what you're talking about right now, is when you're like entangled in love with somebody, whether it's a a mother and a son, or a wife and a husband. They say that, and I don't know how true this is. Don't quote me on this, but they say that when people are in far distances, let's say a loved one goes to war, he's a soldier, goes to war, something bad happens. They said the loved one can all of a sudden feel the dread from the other side of the world.
Oh, I believe that 100%.
That is crazy.
Yes, absolutely, 1,000%. I believe. I used to be so skeptical about that. I think it came from a place.
You hear mothers been like, "Oh, when my son died, I felt it. I knew it before they even called." And you're like, "Is she telling the truth?" But you hear it a lot, though. I believe it.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, like, there are ripples that two people exclusively are attuned to. Yeah. So, like, I like to think about it in terms of like
on that same wavelength.
Amanda and I are like literally on our own private.
You have your own frequency,
shortwave frequency. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It's like a walkie-talkie. You get your set of walkie-talkies. You got 4 of them that comes in the package, right?
Yes.
You can set 2 of them on one frequency, and the other 2 on another frequency.
And the frequencies are like hyper specific numbers.
You have to have it exactly right.
3 decimal places. You know,
like, if it's off a little bit, that's the end of the relationship.
And it does, like, that's what it's like, and it's as a creator,
it's an allegory.
Like it is an allegory. Yeah. See, this is why. So as a creator, now I want to speak directly to every artist, every creator out there. Yeah, like bring it in. Sorry. Oh God. But in total seriousness, right now, I have 2 primary things that like I want to say directly to all of you. There is an idea, a poisonous, fraudulent idea out there that one must wait until they feel secure or comfortable to then pursue what they know they've been essentially destined to pursue. I must, forget my language, but there's only one way to, that is a crock of bullshit. It is like, it's the other way around. Okay? It's the other way around. We take actions in order to put ourselves into a proximity whereby such good feelings are likely to happen to you. But you take action to get there. It's just kind of like if you're starving, one eats food in order to activate one's appetite. We don't always have to wait for our for our appetite to be activated. Like, it's a lot of these things are the other way around. And so I'm saying that because so many people use this as an excuse to like indulge themselves in a type of cowardice that has been inculcated into us by like this joke of a society. I mean, like, and it is a joke. All right, I'm being very generous by calling this a society. It's more like a cesspool, but don't get me started on that. And it does, like, within all of us, it creates, this set of meaningless strictures that, like, enclose around us and limit us, from taking risks, okay? Here's the risk in my own life. And by the way, like, this wasn't, like, born into me. I had to fight to realize this. I had to undergo, like, my own lashing under my own whip and put myself under the whips of 1,000 other things.
You had to carry your cross.
Yes, exactly. There's another allegory right there. And it's a cross to bear. Like, you can be burdened by, certain kinds of blessings because they require so much of you. To whom much is given, much shall be required. And I just knew, like, I didn't have wishes when I was a kid. Oh, someday I dream about doing this. Like, I had operative goals when I do this. Well, it didn't even occur to me that I wouldn't, And now I was very blessed because I had like nobody ever really questioned these things with me because I started very young, being a composer, being a pianist, doing all the types of things that I'm doing now. But the thing I want to say to everybody else out there right now is if you know that you have a vision, or even if you don't have the vision within your like framework right now, but you know that there's one out there, like kind of hidden, and you just have to go through the mist right now when you're hearing this, like, go do it. All right, to hell with anybody else that says otherwise. That's okay. They have the luxury of living in the type of like relative false safety that, and the smart, pragmatic living that you can almost hear them patting themselves in the back for. To hell with them. Okay, you go do it, and you do it right now, because let me tell you what the real risk that you're running is. The real risk is running up against this. Waking up the rest of your life knowing that you could have done something. Okay, I can't imagine a worse type of oppressive, slowly acidic horror than waking up every morning knowing I could have done this, but I didn't pull the trigger. Shoot wild, shoot from the hip, but just by God, pull the freaking trigger. Okay, do it. You're never, ever going to regret it. I swear to you right now, you will never, ever regret taking the shot.
Yeah.
Ever.
I totally
do
agree.
it now. The time is now. Okay, because there is a time and a place for these types of things. There are moving windows of opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like the game Frogger. You know, like, oh, these cars are coming by threatening to run you over, and there's like a fly that kind of comes by the screen, and you got to like negotiate the cars and everything, but you got to eat that fly. So be a frog about it. I don't know where that came from.
No, that's good. And you know what? And speaking on that same allegory of the frog, right? So you're going to hear a lot of people tell you, might be a parent or parents are like, no, that's not a good route to go. Just go to school or get a job. That you're never going to make it as a musician. You're throwing that example. Or you're never going to be a director in Hollywood. It's not going to happen. That is not true.
It's not true.
And here's what but here you got to be realistic about it. You got to start from square one. What is the first thing I got to do to be, let's say you want to be a musician? Well, first of all, you got to learn how to play the piano or play the guitar. You're not just going to jump in a band, but you have to do one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. Start from square one, and then hit your goals one by one until you get there.
Yes,
and then you might not be that director that you wanted to be, but you might get a job at a company that directs movies, and it might be your dream job.
We are living in like
shoot for the moon, and you might land. So, let's say you shoot for the stars, you might land on the moon.
Yes.
Like you got to shoot high.
Okay, that's
and
really
you
nice.
might land somewhere underneath, but it might be the spot you're destined to go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Sorry, I'm like, that was like unexpectedly beautiful. Like the way you said that.
We always do this shit, dude.
Yeah, no, but seriously, like that
but it's
that
true.
was, I love that you kind of reversed it, because like I was never comfortable with like shooting for the moon and landing on the stars. I was just like, oh, we've landed on the moon.
Yes.
Like we haven't yet gone to the stars.
Right.
Like I'm not interested in places we've been. I'm interested in like finding places that we haven't yet gone and just bullying my way into it, because there is a savagery to creativity. There is a ruthlessness. You need to be, David Lynch said it himself, like in his glorious autobiography called Room to Dream. Which, like, go out and get the freaking book. Just do it. Yeah. Like, you're welcome. And he said, he said a lot of things in this book. Like, I've read it like 8 times, like cover to cover. But one of the things that he did say was that you got to be kind of selfish in certain ways as an artist. It's just like, how it is. Like, one cannot, like, not just refine, but master a craft without, like, a dogged, single-minded pursuing of that one thing. Like, Neil, you were talking about how you make, your videos, for instance, that you'll go, and I understood it. Yeah. I felt it so hard. Like, Neil, say what you had said over there, like, before we started this, about how, like, you work for 18-hour stretches on this stuff.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I get an idea, and as soon as I start my next video, and I get the process going. So what I do is, I'll record my audio. And as soon as I finish recording my audio and I get it on the computer, I don't stop working. I'm not kidding. I will sit there for I will sit there for 18 fucking hours until it's done.
It possesses you.
I can't take a break from it.
Yeah, it won't let you.
And
it is like a relationship.
And I'm not kidding. As soon as I upload the video, then I go to sleep.
Yeah, it's like then
18 hours has just gone by.
Then your body is permitted.
And
to
then
rest.
I'm like, okay, now I can sleep. Then I wake up and I'm like, oh, how many views did I get? Oh, cool, I got 60 views.
Dude, it's like
it's the way it is.
No, it really is. This is exactly how it is. Like, you create something and then like you watch the responses. Yeah. Like I was just telling, like, I keep referring to my girlfriend, and the reason I'm doing that though is just because, like, we composers, we need a great love in our life. Like, we really do. Like, Rachmaninoff talks about this like perfectly. He just talks about like having this muse there. It is a constant source of like fire. But when you're writing for her, you've got to like shut the door and get away because she'll distract you. Like, and it's true. But but it permeates my life. And I was just talking to about this, like, with her a little bit, because I tend to find myself working out difficult concepts, like, to her, to people that are safe. The very few people in my life that I consider to be absolute safe zones. of which you are part of that pantheon, my friend.
Nice.
But God help you. But like she like I had alluded, to the fact that like it is a form of it, like I'm driven out of bed by this thing. That's when it comes all the time. It's like you're on you're in the borderlands between sleep and wakefulness, and that's when all of a sudden like you start getting shouted at by the muse, and it's just like you can't roll over and go to bed. Like there's a desperation. Like you've got to get that idea down because like a dream, it will fade. There is a clock ticking on these ideas,
Yeah.
And it's scary.
But here's the payoff that you're gonna get just from doing art in the first place. Even if you're only your family sees it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if 10 people see what you made, your art piece or your song that you made, that is going to be there forever, and you are now eternally engraved in whatever space of art you're in.
Yes, you've made
it's
an
always
impact.
going to be there.
You've imprinted yourself.
Your great times 100 grandson, granddaughter will see that one day. Mm-hmm. And they will bring you back to life by listening to that or watching that. By just for that 5 minutes it took for them to listen to your song that you made. You are brought back to life in this world because of that. So when you do art, you immortalize yourself. Even if you don't get famous.
Everything that you're saying, well, most great artists aren't famous in their lifetimes. It takes the world several decades to catch up with them.
That's very true.
A
lot of great writers were just nobodies, and then decades later, somebody found their book and was like, "Well, this is really good."
Yeah, like it's going to take us. Like there are very few artists, were appreciated in their lifetime the way that we are, the way that we see them now. So Beethoven was one of them. Yeah, Beethoven was one of the people like where everybody kind of knew, okay, we are walking like in the presence of an actual giant.
Or Mozart.
So yeah, Mozart though it was a little different. Like Mozart was successful in his lifetime, but like he wasn't held as like the pinnacle of like perfection the way that he is now. He was buried in a mass grave, by the way, so that part of the movie Amadeus is true. It was a fabulous movie. I do want to say that what you have just said, though, about imprinting yourself, kind of I was here, like that is...
And you sort of alter the logos of the world by giving... if your ideas hit hard with somebody and they identify, you have literally changed the world in a little bit of way. Just a little degree.
Well, who measures, like impact and import? I mean, like literally, like we're all walking universes. Mm-hmm. Each one of us is a walking universe. Yeah, that's exactly what we are. And so, and you never know what that person's going to do with it. Yeah,
and then you inspire somebody else. That's who builds really on your idea. Like this microphone. Back in the day, it was a different. With the first set of whatever the first audio recorder was. That idea got taken and someone modified it, made it a little bit better. Yeah. And then eventually we have this. Mm-hmm. It all came from one person's idea. That is how the world works. That's how creation works.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody picks up, where you left off.
Yeah, you literally are a tool of creation.
Because so I'm so happy that you said this because a big part of what we perceive to be writer's block comes from the mistaken...
Could be the title of this, Tool of Creation.
Oh, see, well, you're getting good at this.
Go ahead, I cut you off.
No, it's fine. Like, you know how we roll.
Yeah.
The way that I believed in writer's block and went through what I mistook for it when I mistakenly believed that we ever create anything. Because we actually don't. At best, we are glorified remixers.
Yes.
Okay, so we take things that already exist.
There's nothing new under the sun.
God himself is the only true creator. Because creation, the act of creation, the definition of it is like essentially conjuring something out of nothing.
Right.
And so we take what is already around us and reconstitute it. We reframe it. Oh, like that color would look really nice in this frame that's going to go around this particular thing that I want you to focus on. It brings people into a perspective that will only ever be achieved by a specific person. That is one of the great functions of art.
Yes. And it's like a hip hop producer takes a rock song that they like, and they slow it down a little bit, and they add a bass line. They add a bass line to it, and they add a verse over it. And all of a sudden, you got a hit rap song. But really, what you did was you took a bunch of things that you like, put it all together, and that is what we're talking about.
Exactly.
It's all about being inspired by someone else. And like, one of my favorite books in the Bible is Ecclesiastes. and it talks about
Nothing new under the sun.
There's a time for everything.
Yeah.
All is vanity.
All is vanity. Vanity of vanities.
That is
all
such
is vanity.
a deep. That's one of the deep philosophical
That's a
books.
heavy book.
Yeah.
That one is difficult to get through because it's just like you want to know how the universe works.
It's a little bit
God.
darker than
it's
most.
Very dark.
Yeah.
It went from Proverbs to Ecclesiastes,
Yeah.
and the juxtaposition of those two books is like essentially what happens to a man when they have departed from the ways of God.
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes is
They call those the wisdom books
Yes.
of the Old Testament.
So
yeah.
Ecclesiastes is essentially the aftermath of departing from, very clear commandments.
Yeah.
Whereas Proverbs is like being smack dab in the middle
Is
of
living
God's
through the law,
inspirational
right.
presence.
Yeah.
And just being where God wants you,
Yeah.
to be. But yes, there's nothing new under the sun.
Nothing.
But far from being a tragic thing, that is so liberating.
And even like we were talking about, even the matter that makes up our body was once grass on the ground. And then
Exactly.
some cow ate it. That cow dies and gets butchered. Someone eats the meat. That person has a baby, and then boom, here's a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like that. Obviously, that's way simplified, but it's like
Not
that-
really. Not
but
in concept.
But that concept is what I'm getting at. Is that there's nothing new under this sun. Everything is created from something else.
Think about how wonderful that is, too. I mean, like how that frees you up. Igor Stravinsky, who wrote The Rite of Spring, and The Rite of Spring. So, for those of you who have seen Fantasia, Disney's Fantasia, it's the music that accompanies the dinosaurs, but like the scary, savage sounding piece. That piece is called The Rite of Spring. It caused an actual riot when it was premiered in 1913. It still sounds like a punch in the mouth. I mean, it's so alien and weird, and it came out of nowhere. But so the guy that wrote that said this: "Good composers borrow, great composers steal." Which is just like, I heard that and it made everything okay because I knew what he was saying.
Well,
He's
it's
just
so
like,
true because when even like my new channel, Gnostic Informant, go check it out. When I make backgrounds, I was showing you my backgrounds that I make. I don't make those from scratch. I take another background from somewhere, download it, and then I literally remix it so much that it becomes my own.
Yes, exactly.
Like I don't steal it. I do a lot of work to it. But I take it from somewhere else.
And eventually it breaks into being a new thing.
Yeah.
And that is really creativity distilled.
Yeah.
Okay, you alter something until
alchemy, dude.
Yes, it is alchemy.
It is alchemy.
It is alchemy. Like literally. You're conjuring gold from raw ore.
Yeah.
And that, which is like what alchemy, was actually like that term. We kind of throw it around a lot. Neil, you know far more about this than I do. But yeah, essentially, it's refining gold from raw
mercury.
ore.
Yeah, from trying to use mercury and other metals to make gold. And the true wisdom behind the concept of alchemy is like a master alchemist will tell his student that your job is to make gold from other metals. But really what he's doing is he's showing them that even though you can't make gold, you can make like the concept behind it is like you learn the ways of the world from understanding how elements work.
Yes.
So when you learn these elements, all of a sudden you learn how the world is created.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn about creation itself just from being an alchemist, even though you never reach your goal.
Yeah.
It's like what we're talking about. We're shooting for the stars and hitting the moon. That's alchemy.
Yeah, but you're still like in the cosmos.
You're in the cosmos, right?
So yeah, like you're in, you're past the first heaven,
Right.
Yeah, because there are 7 levels of it, or something
7
like that.
levels, yeah.
So that's why I love as a composer. I've been so blessed, and I have to take a moment here and thank the Goo Goo Dolls, okay? Because the Goo Goo Dolls, what I do as a composer essentially is and I had no idea I was going to go over in this direction. I was a concert pianist. That was my thing, but I started, I did a couple sessions at the studio owned and operated by the Goo Goo Dolls, GCR Audio. It's in Buffalo. It's the best studio in the world.
Nicholas City.
Yeah, Nicholas City, baby. Nice. You're getting good with the drops. Seriously, I
just had to drop real quick. I just clicked a random one. It was so stupid.
I heard it. I was like, what the hell was that?
That was so dumb.
I thought it was
let's see this, let's see what this one does. All right, I'm done. My bad.
Sorry.
I don't even know.
My fever's breaking. We're getting crazy over here.
Yeah.
I recorded a session at their studio that they own and operate in Buffalo, GCR Audio, and it was in 2012. And Robbie Takak, who's just become literally one of he's family to me. I mean, he's just one of the salt of the earth. Like, I can't tell you how great Johnny and Robbie are as people. Everything you've heard about them is true. Like, that's how they are.
And you're the third Goo Goo Doll.
I don't know about the third.
I've heard that nickname thrown around at you before.
I didn't say it, but that's an honor. That's an honor. Like, but like he heard what I did in the session for this other band, called The Reign of Kindo, which is like, you want to talk about fabulous artists? Go out and check the band The Reign, like The Rule, The Reign of Kindo. Oh God, consummate musicians. Anyway, I was doing a session with them. The band had been selected personally by Nobuo Uematsu, who composed all the music for Final Fantasy.
Ooh,
and he selected Reign of Kindo to do the Final Fantasy VII main theme.
That's awesome.
For a 25th anniversary celebration of the music of Final Fantasy.
What a dope
released
thing,
on Sony Square Enix.
What a dope thing.
So they asked me to write strings for this, right? And now, like every other little boy and girl at the time, I used to like put my controller down and just listen to the music of this freaking
it's like
game
Skyrim
series.
music.
Yes, it is. It's incredible.
Love Skyrim music, yeah.
And so for me, like, my mind is
Jeremy Soule
exploding.
is Jeremy Soule is Skyrim, yeah.
He's amazing.
Amazing.
He's don't even get me started on that dude. Like,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah, my bad.
FML. No, not your bad.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's just like, I have too much to say about him.
Yeah.
So I can't. But
He's up there with like the Hans Zimmers of the world.
yeah, he's in the pantheon of greatness.
Yes.
But like, so we recorded the strings to our version of like the Final Fantasy VII main theme that was commissioned by the composer of the theme himself.
That's got to be so fun to do.
It was, and so we did it at the Goo Goo Dolls studio. We did it in like 2 hours. Like, I came in, I was like a hot mess, but like we nailed it. I brought in the fabulous Gretchen and Kirsten Fisher, two sisters.
I know Kirsten Fisher.
Yeah,
Claire's sister.
Gretchen, Kirsten, and Claire are like
phenomenal.
I work with them all the time. They play all the Goo Goo Dolls scores.
Claire Fisher was a brilliant musician at like 7 years old.
They all are.
Like I remember
it's lightning hitting the same place 3 times.
I was in kindergarten with her, and I remember her in like 3rd grade crushing it.
Oh yeah, she's
and being
genius.
like, "What?"
All 3 of them are freaks of nature. I love all 3 of you, by the way. I love you, ladies. Thank you so. Like, seriously, like absolute consummate artists, the 3 of them, and it's like lightning hitting the same place 3 times. Like, that 3 sisters should be that
you can't
gifted.
find people that talented.
Yeah, and then Katie Wiseman is like, the cellist I work with all the time. Like, I've been so blessed to work with like literally like world-class musicians. That's my core quartet. They've played all the Goo Goo Dolls scores and stuff that I've worked on. But like, the way that this happened with the Goo Goo Dolls was we did this thing for Nobuo Uematsu, the Final Fantasy thing, and he actually wrote it. So it was released in Japan. It was on an album called Cafe SQ. You can still find that. Like, it's sold out its first pressing. It's Nobuo Uematsu wrote back and said, "It is so special to my heart." I'm like, I was like super emotional. I'm like, how do you wrap your head around that? And then a couple days later, I went to the studio just to pick up, a copy of what we had done. And there is Robbie Takak, who heard what we had done, and literally like, this changed my life. He said, "I've never heard anything like this before." Wow. We've worked with everybody, and you think differently. And it was like, finally,
he's right about that. You do think differently.
For better and for worse.
That's like its own category. Richie's thought process.
Yeah, it's a hell of a category. Like,
you might not want to do it yourself. Lightly. You might want to just watch from a distance.
Yeah, so you might get irradiated.
Yeah, it's like being in the fire. There you are. Good,
dude.
Dude, this has been amazing so far.
Yeah, like, Robbie heard it and he said, "I've never heard anything like this." And then he said, "And this changed my life." God,
wow,
he was the hand. He said this. He said, "We've worked with everybody and he went, and I've never heard anything like this." Like, wow. And people, I am done apologizing for saying what I'm about to say, because people will try and make you apologize for this. And I'm here to tell you, like, don't give in. Okay. I knew I had a vision. I worked hard at it. Nobody handed me a thing. Like, my mom literally gave her rare blood type every week to fund my piano lessons. So, give blood, play hockey. Like, no. My mom gave her blood so I could play piano. Wow. And so I'm prefacing what I'm about to say with this stuff because like it is still a little hard, honestly, for me to say what I'm about to say. But like I always knew deep down inside that what Robbie had said to me in that moment was true. I just needed somebody who actually who knew what he was talking about.
Somebody who's been
there.
Yeah.
Like to confirm it, to like turn his key. And then he said the words that literally changed the entire trajectory of my life. He said this to me. He said, you know, if you stay here, if you stick around with the studio, we could really build something here. We could make this into a world-class operation. And my life just veered instantly at like the hardest of rights that you could think of. And so ever since then, I've been like, in the first Goo Goo Dolls track I worked on, I didn't have permission to do that. It was a song called Happiest of Days that like I had challenged Robbie to write a ballad. And he was just kind of like, shut up. And you know, because he's like the rocker and he's so great at it. And I was like, Robbie, but you're such a great melodist, you know, like John Resnick.
Is that the video with you two both when you're doing the piano? Oh, it's so good. Dude.
Yeah, so that was a version. So good. Thank you. Yeah,
that was amazing. That should be on the radio.
Well, I mean, like that came out. So, like that song, that was a version that he and I did. Like
he wrote that too.
Yeah, he wrote that song.
So good.
He wrote that song in 2013, and it was on an album called Magnetic. This was their 10th album, and so Robbie was away. The guys were recording in New York City at the time, and I grabbed the engineer that I work with. He's like, you know, my other half creatively. There's Tim Thane, and then there's Justin Rose, who's like the chief engineer of the Goo Goo Dolls studio. He's a genius. Hi, Justin. I love you. And I grabbed him. I was just like, listen, like he's out of town. Let's just do a session. Like, what's the worst thing like, I'm going to put strings on this guy's song right now without his permission, without asking him. I'm not going to ask. I'm not waiting around for like the red tape and everything. I was like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? The worst thing that's going to happen is like this guy, Robbie, that I love so much has a really bitchin' alternate version of his song with strings on it, you know? And so he came back and he heard it and he took it to New York City, and the producer, who was working with Goo Goo Dolls, Greg Wattenberg, another beast, you know, he was like, you know, I've never heard anything like this flawlessly intonated. That, by the way, all the credit goes to the ladies that I work with on performing what I wrote to the hilt, and then of course Justin crafting it. Like I've got the greatest team in the history of mankind. Like we'll go head to head with anyone.
You still work with them?
Oh god,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
hell
amazing.
Yeah. Like it's, you know, I work with a lot of people, but like my core team.
It's like having like a good paintbrush to use.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, like so here, like that's how it started with the Goo Goo Dolls. Like you know, and then Robbie asked me to play piano on the song. So I played piano on it, and then it got released, and like the day it was released, he sat me down and he's like, now look, your life's going to change a little bit like tomorrow. It's going to be a little bit different. And sure enough, once I had that one credit with Goo Goo Dolls, because it was like I wrote orchestra on that song, I played piano on that song, like, and we went all out, you know, it's that whole album is amazing, but like, Robbie stepped into territory that he wasn't yet, you know, like really super familiar with stepping into. John Resnick, you know, it's just one of the great songwriting geniuses, you know, just challenged himself at every turn. You know, it was glorious. We had a hell of a time making that record, but like, anyway, it opened the floodgates after that. Then I started getting people like Michael Franti and Spearhead. Like that was, I worked on a song called 1159. And that was like the first actual like hit song that I got to like write strings for. And he's another guy that is just one of like these, he's so awesome. He's a barefooter. He's so talented. He's so diverse. You know, Michael Franti and Spearhead, like Greg Wattenberg, brought him to my attention next. And then, one of the ultimate bands for me is the band in England called Cardiacs. And they were run by a staggering genius, like David Lynch level, named Tim Smith. God rest his soul. He died a little while back. It was a terrible blow. And this band, I didn't work directly with them, but like Tim had a series of strokes. He was pronounced dead for like, you know, several minutes. And then by the force of his great, colossal genius, he he like relearned how to, do all the stuff. He was crippled. He was incapacitated.
Wow.
And like learned a way to communicate with like his brother Jim and,
about just inspiring stuff.
I know.
Man.
Is that, like they're going to make a movie about him. And my, like the fans of Cardiacs are called Pondies. Nobody really knows why we're called Pondies, but like we're about as hardcore a fan base as you can get.
Huh?
Yeah. And so hello to all of you. It's like a true,
it's like an army.
It is an army, and it's becoming more vast because like the world is now catching up.
You don't want to get that mad at you on Twitter.
No, you don't. No. So no, I'm glad that you said that actually, because like, so I wanted to do something to like help raise money for Tim's recovery because it was so costly, and so many people, have done, in their own ways, like the same thing. I did this back in 2013. It's still going on, but I took one of his songs called "The Duck in Roger the Horse." A fabulous title.
That's a great title.
And I did what you're talking about with like your own visuals and your videos. I took what elements Tim had provided me in the song and I just put them in a different context. I wrote them for like string quartet, and that was a really unbelievable process, like digging into like the mind of Tim Smith, like how he does what he does. He's such a freak of nature. I can't tell you. I love great artists.
Yeah.
I do. I get fired up. It helps me to like worship the Lord more because like it all comes from him. And it's just like the Lord seems to speak to me exclusively through great artists and often people that are like holds completely antithetical views. Yeah. Just to kind of demonstrate to me that like he uses who he wants to. Like Paul, for instance, who was formerly Saul of Tarsus and was a mass murderer of Christians and became the architect of the entire faith. That's so so Tim Smith is like one of these people for me. And there's a video on YouTube, like the making of this actually. And, cause the fundraiser's like still going on. We're still collecting money to send to him. And even after all these years, it's an ongoing thing. And I called it Rhapsody for the Duck and Roger the Horse. And it just started generating like interest and I was so blessed to do it. And then Tim heard it. I did, like, I'm not ashamed to admit I cried when I heard this. Like Tim Smith watched the documentary. This, you got to understand, this guy like revolutionized my life. Like he's David Lynch territory. And he told the attending nurse at the time, he had said, was I dreaming or did I really just see that? And he would like watch it several times. I'm just like, this guy is like a freak of nature. Like his genius is overwhelming. It's so unbelievable. And like here he is affirming me. And it's just, there is like this, like, who am I, oh Lord, thing that comes over you. Like, I'm just a man, Lord, why me? Which I often feel like, no. But we can't let that as creators get in the way of pursuing our vision doggedly. Like, there is no failure. The only failure is not to pursue what you know is your vision. So just do it, man. Wow. Like, seriously, I just want to be the first out there. So I'm kind of taking you all through like a brief, like, guided tour of some highlights so far. But like, from the Goo Goo Dolls opening that door came Michael Franti, came my ability to get my work on behalf of Cardiacs out to them. Yeah. Then came working with Aqueous. Wow. And Aqueous are like, like they're imposing musicians, true artists, and like working with the guys, Dave Loss, Mike Ganzer, Evan McFadden, like they've had a variety of drummers that I've had the privilege to work with, but I've worked with like those three guys on a pretty consistent basis. And I worked on a project called Willie is 40 with them at first, and they were kind of a sprawling, not a jam band. Everybody calls them a jam band. They're not a jam band, okay? Like, they're progressive. Yeah. They're symphonists of using a rock ensemble. And all their fans right now, the Aqueous fans, know what I'm talking about. And then we did the album Cycles. And man, Dave and Mike, like nothing gets by these guys. I wanted to bash my head against a wall at the time because I'm not used to kind of like being given like a set of parameters the way that they did, but they have such a clear vision of their music. And then I got to operate within it, and we just created this. We did several things, but there's one song called Staring into the Sun that's like this is like huge thing, and I'm so proud of it. Like, and it wouldn't have happened had the guys not have like really cracked the whip on me. And then from there came, yet again, the crown jewel of my heart to work with, the band The Reign of Kindo. And I'm recently working on a project by two of the guys in the band called Dead Sages, and it's just like
I love that name.
Isn't
Dead
it great?
Sages.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
So like, yeah, and the first song that we worked on was called State of Mind, and it's like all about what we're talking about. I'll let you hear it. Like, it's not out yet, but like, it's so good. And everything that Reign of Kindo sends my way is just like, it challenges me. Like, so then we did an album called Play with Fire, which is, for me, it's still like the most meaningful. Like, I was working on the album while I was using cocaine. I was working on that album when I got out of cocaine.
Oh, it saw different aspects of you.
It did. Like, it saw me. It's so like
crazy,
like I had like,
dude,
I was straddling.
You're such a complex person, but I love it.
I
love it, dude.
Thank you. I think
I'm watching a legend right here.
But like, I was straddling to like heaven and hell, and it was like like it was the chasm separating the two, that like where I found the sound. And I had then we toured Brazil together, and so like I'd say more than anybody. Oh, and then Denny Lane. I got like
Penny Lane. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, close, because Denny Lane founded the Moody Blues.
Really?
And then he joined Paul McCartney and Wings. And this guy,
so there is a connection between Denny and Penny.
Yes, exactly. Seriously.
Awesome.
And so like then Denny brought me this master. Like, well, I cornered him a little bit, but like I told him, I was like, he had this magnum opus of his that he'd been working on for like years, and it never saw the light of day. It was called Arctic Song. It was like a 16 song music theater piece. Wow. Now Denny Lane, like the Moody Blues, like changed my freaking life when I was like, oh my God, you can do classical and rock. That's like a thing.
That's crazy.
So I got to meet him, and that
sounds amazing.
And I got brazen with him. Like, I literally looked at him and I was like, in 1 week I will orchestrate all of this for you. And I knew he wouldn't believe me, because who would believe that, right? Well, I did.
Wow.
I did.
You're like me. Once you get it,
exactly.
You're not going to stop. You're not going to go to sleep till it's done.
You need to be a bulldog with this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to try. It was just like, I didn't have the option. Like, Denny Lane gives me the okay to work on his freaking masterwork. And what am I going to do? Go to bed? Like, really? Like, nobody ever died from lack of sleep, okay? Like, my soul, on the other hand, would have died had I not have taken the shot.
And it's almost like the drive to get it done keeps you up. It's better than coffee.
Yeah,
you can't go to sleep until it's done.
It's a danger zone at the same time too, because like, and I'm going through this now, like my girlfriend's like, really kind of helping me with this, a little bit, because like, I'm not aware of how exhausted I often am. Like, I'm just not, because like, I can't tell the difference anymore between excitement and anxiety.
Yeah,
everything just feels adrenal.
Yeah,
and that's dangerous a little bit. Like, you gotta like rein that in, and I'm learning how to do it as I go.
Harness.
Yeah, that's gonna be like a lifelong thing.
It's hard. It's like a power that you have to harness. It's like a bowl, dude.
This is why you see me going like this all the time. Is because like I do. Like, I know you'll understand this. Like, it is riding the bull.
Yeah.
Like, it's like riding Taurus.
Yeah.
Not just any bull. Like,
I'm bull.
Riding like
the Apis bull.
Yes, exactly. And it's so like you see me going like this, because like a lot of times, like when you're doing this, when you're in the grip,
it's like Mithra slaying the bull, dude. The myth of that.
I like that better.
Yeah,
actually,
that's what it is.
Well
dude.
done. But like, you do kind of feel it's super powered. Like, you feel like I just feel like parts of me are glowing when this is happening, but it does take a toll. Like, one must be careful, but at the same time, like it's you got to take the shot when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
So, but that's the very general trajectory of how all this happened. It was the Goo Goo Dolls that opened that door, because I don't care how good anybody is, one person always winds up opening the door and giving them the shot.
Yeah.
And then, by God,
that's the way it works.
You take that shot.
Yeah.
You have to take it. Like, if you don't take it,
that's your window.
It's unthinkable. Yeah. And we don't pick and choose our windows. So,
it's like,
what?
Like the Eminem song. Like, you got one shot, one opportunity.
Yeah, but like, that's the horrible truth of this. Like, you do. And you know what? Like, by God, you take that freaking shot. Like, you hold that trigger and you spray that thing with bullets
and shoot that 3-pointer.
Seriously, like, you cut it in half.
Yep.
You don't just take the shot.
Take the Hail
Be
Mary
an MG42, where the point where it fires 1,000 rounds a minute, to the point where the barrels need to be changed out
until you have no more.
You break the anvil. Now, don't just strike when it's hot. Make it hot and then strike. I can't emphasize this enough.
That's a good one. Make it hot and then strike.
Yeah, take a flamethrower to the anvil if it's not hot. Like,
that's such a good. Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna use that.
That's all yours, baby.
Yeah,
go right ahead. But like, this is what being an artist is, and I just can't emphasize enough. You need to be dogged, okay, and just get out of the arena if you're not going to be like this. This won't seem like a sacrifice if you are possessed of like a real vision, or you're possessed with the need to go out and seek the vision that awaits you. Okay, like the sacrifice would be not doing it. So I don't even talk in terms of like, oh, I had to sacrifice this and this. I had to sacrifice nothing. I was doing what I loved the entire time, and I'm still doing it, and I'll never freaking stop. Yep. God himself would have to stop me, and God seems at this point to have anointed it. So, and I'm doing it, like in the end of the day to glorify his name, and he rewards that. And I'm just here to say that, like, being created in God's image is not describing anthropomorphic elements like hands, eyes, arms. God, to ascribe that to God is, God describes himself in such terms only when he's condescending to us, like in talking to us like the babies that we are. What it's really describing is the creative act. Okay, like the self-awareness and then the urge to like build things. Okay, because God is is creativity incarnate. Like I said, that's one of his elements, certainly, but like he is the ultimate creative genius. And like I'm saying this right now because I feel like I worship him better the more I create. And David Lynch and people like Tim Smith from Cardiacs, these people in my life have been prophets to me. Like the Lord, like what anybody believes about this is like, for me right now, it's a little bit immaterial. Like for my life, I know that this is like, the truth of it, not my truth, the truth.
The logos.
Yes, the logos, baby. I love it. And exactly. And I just want to say that it took me listening to people like David Lynch. It took me listening to people like Tim Smith and just listening to legendary creators. Like, I'm regurgitating what they're saying, and that's what we do as creators. We recontextualize it and we put it out in our own voice. So real originality is exactly, yes, it's reflective of one's own image. And so we create things in our own image.
Put your soul
God creates us in his image. We create things like in our own image.
Put your soul into it.
Yeah, we become a living diary entry.
Yeah.
Okay, John Lennon was like that. John Lennon was always
he died
in the pit.
That way.
Yes,
he would put himself out in the world.
He was in the struggle,
fearless, walk around New York City, and like that was who he was.
Yeah, like John was very much in it, and like when you listen to an album like Plastic Ono Band, which I can listen to once a year because it's just like so scathing. It's like the man is bleeding.
And then he would do these like visual art projects where he would sit in a bed for a week and say, "I'm not going to leave this bed till the war ends."
The bed in for peace.
Like, and then he would change his mind, do something different. People go, "Oh, what are you leaving that behind?" No, that's just how he is. Mm-hmm. That's just how he operated. Yeah. If he felt that way, he did it.
And I do want to say this too. Felt. So John was also very much in love when he did these things, and Yoko, for all the bullshit that she takes or whatever, from people, like John loved her.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah. Oh,
I love John. So you know what? Like, I'm not going to talk smack about his girl. And like, furthermore, she pushed him. Like, some of the greatest songs of all time were written for this woman. And by God, like, I intend for the same thing.
Did he name his album? Did he name an album after her?
He named a couple. He named a song. Oh, Yoko.
Yeah.
The Ballad of John and Yoko. Yeah. Like, John was unapologetically in love with this woman. That is the way to be. Yeah. And you know what? That's like a beautiful thing because like I'm undergoing it now. Like
now you know what it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like it's scary and it's wonderful. It's terrifying and wonderful because you just kind of realize like I'm very much like helpless in the face of this thing. Like there's her, there's me, and then there's this third entity. Like certainly the Lord. I mean, that's what kind of like brings it to
Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit is really just cascaded over this thing, and this is the only time in my life where I have like been with somebody where we believe the exact same thing, and there is something to be said for that. Like there's an intimacy to the whole thing, and it's just like really enriching my life. I don't know, what the future holds in terms of the specifics of it, but like I do know that it's just like it escalates. This keeps escalating, and as a creator, it's like this it's like finding a hidden, limitless well. And so I tend to just be in a constant state of combustion now. And I, everything is a double-edged sword as a creator. Like, one must be careful because I'm human. I mean, like I'm sitting here sweating right now because like my fever, I think, broke. And, it's like, I don't even know what the hour is right now, but who cares?
Almost 2 hours. Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, I'm learning how to like achieve a semblance of balance and keep increasing that right now. Something that I thought would be foreign to me as a creator, because like being a creator is an inherent imbalance.
Yeah.
Like you can, one chaos. Like think about what a genius is.
It's the you're taking from chaos.
Yes.
And trying to bring order into a piece of art.
You must inhabit these places. Like I don't even consider myself like I don't consider that I'm even a writer. Like I consider myself to be like a conceptual archaeologist. Like I'm unearthing things and like dusting the bones off.
Yeah.
It's like very much an act of retrieval.
I like that.
Of things. Like I'm going into another dimension for this stuff. And like, does it sound highfalutin? You bet it does. You bet, because it is. Okay. And like through the tenets of transcendental meditation and prayer and being in love with your soulmate and even if you're not like yet and you haven't found yours, or just like when you've connected into the path that you are supposed to be walking, it's an unmistakable feeling. It took me about 36 years like to finally just have both feet on that path. Up until a couple months ago, of which you, Neal, were instrumental, by the way. I do, very much so. Like you saved my life. I mean, God used you as an instrument. I can't emphasize that enough. Know that. Absolutely. Oh yeah. I thank Him for you every day. And Neal and I go at it sometimes. Like of course we do. Like we do. Like we fight like brothers sometimes because we are brothers. So it's. But I just feel very celebratory, and I love talking about like creativity. I mean, there's so much to talk about here, but like. I guess what I want to say to all the creators out there, like, don't just take a shot, spray it. Okay. Like take out your
get the rebound and take another one.
Set it to full auto.
Yeah.
Okay. Like make your shot.
Yeah.
Make a shot to take.
Yeah.
And you can. Okay. Be dogged. Be a bully. Okay. Nobody's ever, these people like Goo Goo Dolls and like David Lynch or whatever, like, they don't have time to mess around with a person that's like, oh, hey, I'm like apologetic about what they're doing. Like,
be assertive.
Yes. Like what's the worst thing that, is going to happen? Like, oh, you know what? Screw this. Like if, for instance, my logic when I stole Robbie's song and like wrote strings to it when he was away and I didn't even have permission was this: is this guy really going to come home and hear an orchestra on his song and say, you know what? F this kid. I can't believe like he cared so much about like doing this thing for me that he like went behind my back and just put an orchestra on it. Screw him. No, he's not going to say that. He's going to realize, damn, this kid's got tenacity. This kid's got a pair on him. And that's what I had. And I still do because I can't, because it's not even having a pair or being courageous. It's I have a horror of ever waking up in the morning, with like a coulda, woulda, shoulda mentality. I just think it's inbuilt. I thank God for the horror every day because it keeps me taking shots.
Yeah.
So like nobody, you got to be loud, and you have got, if you're not sure, if you like, it is my job to see things for these artists that, is a little bit hazy, that they know is out there. I'm like a surgeon, like a specialist. They bring me in to like see things that they know like their songs need, but like they're not yet sure exactly how to go about it. That's my job. What a great, unbelievable calling that is to work with these people. All of them. Any great artist. I just love it. I'm a ground floor kind of guy, which is why I love being on this podcast, for instance, because now Neal's getting like some real traction.
That's why I love having you on, man.
It's just like, so I want to say I was there at the beginning, for it, because by God, that's the place to be. And so be there. You can like, I'm not going to, well, there's no way around it. You can do it.
Yeah. It is possible.
If you do it.
Yeah.
You can do it if you do it. And but you got to take the steps.
You have to do it.
Be a bully about this. Like, you know what? Knock the doors down or whatever.
Just start making stuff.
People, just do it. Like, honestly, like right stream of consciousness. Like, you don't know what that means? Look it up. Google is your friend with this stuff. It's like, this is an infinite universe.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay? It's just like literally it's like portals all the way down instead of turtles all the way down. It's just like, but like really, there's just like and don't be afraid to just immerse yourself. This is a lifestyle. Okay. God help me if I ever reach the day where I'm not living this. Okay. And I'm here to tell you, like, I'm being a little aggressive about this because, like, you need to be aggressive, and I want to inspire somebody right now to just like if there's one person listening to this right now who has like been on the fence and just needed to be activated, like, by God, I pray to the Lord right now that like this activates you. Yes. I'm telling you right now, just do it. Screw anybody that says otherwise.
Yeah.
To hell with them.
Yeah.
They're not on your journey for greatness. And if everybody's great, then nobody is.
Wow.
Right?
That's good.
If everyone's special, then nobody is. The special people are the ones that take the shot. And so make it unacceptable for yourself to not be special. That's how you got to do it. You got to get fired up. You got to get a little bit angry. You got to get angry and outraged at the idea that you will not be heard. You have to make that the horror in your life, if it's not already. Wow. And so I just kind of wanted to share those things directly because I felt led to do it. And I
really wanted to do this every month if we could. Bring you back on.
That's fine.
You know,
yeah,
however,
all right.
As often as
possible.
I
love you, baby.
Yeah, as often as, because this has been
this has been fun. This has been a great one.
That was a quick, fast 2 hours, dude.
Yeah. Well,
and we roll. Dude, that was
the last
deep.
one was like
got a lot of sound bites and everything. A lot of 10-minute clips out of that.
Oh well, that's wonderful. Okay,
so
great.
Listen, I want to ask you this before we close out. Are you active on Twitter yet?
I hate Twitter.
So are you ever going to start that thing or no?
I will, like, once the project for David Lynch that I'm doing, like,
so how would I tell people to follow you? Do you have a Twitter or no?
Yeah, but
follow him on Twitter.
Well, no, mine's like my Twitter's secretive. Like like Facebook is honestly the best way to do it.
Follow him on Facebook.
Yeah, like I'm most active on Facebook.
Look him up on Google and just follow him wherever he is.
My Insta's kind of like
does that work?
Yeah, Facebook is like the best one. But if anyone's interested, to do this to kind of like see some.
We're gonna get you a YouTube channel too. I'm gonna make that my project in the next month. Is start
a YouTube channel?
Make you a YouTube channel. Yeah, you need to have one, dude. You need to be immortalized on YouTube.
I've heard that, it's
and then if it gets monetized, you'll have a check when you're retired.
I'm just like, I'm so busy, like being in it, like it's hard for me to like think of
it'll happen
in these. Well, like
I'm gonna push you off that cliff.
I want to give a shout out right now to Kelly Heaton, who is like one of my best friends in the world and also my personal assistant. Like, she very much has been saying all this.
Is she on Twitter?
She is. Yeah.
Follow her on Twitter. Yeah. What's her name?
Kelly C Designs.
All right. There you go. And then also
KELLEESEE Designs.
Yep, I'll put it on the screen. I'll put it in the description.
She's a genius.
Also, where to find me, Nickel City Chronicles, youtube.com/Nickel City Chronicles. And also, I just started a new channel. If you're into mythology and history and deep historical, philosophy stuff, find me. It's called Gnostic Informant on YouTube.
I must say it's really formidable and impressive, the stuff that you're doing.
Thanks,
even if I hated you, I'd still have to be like, but damn, this kid knows what he's doing.
Thank you.
So it's more of an objective statement of fact, but like really he's killing it right now and you'll want to do this like
Yeah. I got some pretty good people that are following me on there
I'll say
that
Jeez. Louise, I couldn't, that was
Mark
really
Mark Goodacre, who's the head of the historical department at Duke University, just started following me, and I'm just like, what do I do?
Like, holy affirmation, Batman.
But yeah, thanks, and that's all. That's really what it is. If you like that kind of stuff, find me over there, or just keep watching my podcast on here in Nickel City. And dude, this has been, even if one person followed me and that's it, I would keep doing it because I just love doing it. I just love making stuff. I love talking. I love having conversations.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
Like, one cannot work out one's, perceptual framework of this universe without sort of like putting it through a process of distillation by talking in this way.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah, this is therapeutic for me too, man.
Oh, amen. You know how we roll, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, everyone.
That's it.